How's it going, guys? We are here with two Evos, stock and less stock, and we're here to answer your questions that you all have about this machine. If you click on this video, you probably know a little bit about this car. This is obviously the Evo 10. First question, how much power does the Evo have? I just said it has 300 horsepower, roughly about 250, 260 to the wheels. I've even seen some at like 270, which is pretty crazy. And secondly, how much power can the Evo make stock? Well, on a stock turbo, the max that you can roughly see on pump gas, which is 94 octane, is about 330 to 370 wheel horsepower. This is obviously including or taking into consideration that you have supporting mods such as an intake boost controller, which is obviously a necessity, and a decat in your exhaust. Jumping right into it, similarities and differences between the STI and the Evo. Starting off, the STI also does have a TD05 variant, making similar horsepower to the Evo, but certain generations have a 2.5 liter compared to a 2 liter. The suspension style of the STI is pretty much the same, and from what I remember, the STI does have 25-ish millimeter sway bars. Obviously the wings, high-rise wings on both models. The AYC system is probably something that the Evo has over the STI as a little edge. There is a nicely placed pump right over here, so it corrodes for you. Don't have to worry about that. Don't have to corrode it yourself. And it basically what it does is it can send 100% of the power to either back wheel to help you going through a turn to power out of it. And it actually does this through planetary gear sets in each side of the diff, and clutch packs will basically activate on either side based off of the sensors and the gyroscopes, and it'll put the power where it needs to. What are some common problems with the Evo? Well, these are both 2008s, so they're about 5 months out from the scrapyard. Basically, the big things you want to look for in these cars as the common problems is the AYC over here, as I said, likes to go out on you every 3-4 years. Timing chain stretch on the 2008s is a common thing. So if you're looking at getting yourself into an Evo, I would recommend getting something starting after 2010 because they fixed a lot of those problems, such as timing chain and diff pins. So what are the differences between the 2008 Evos and the Evos after that?
It's thicker. This part not there on Evo 10. This part here on Evo 2008.
So yeah, these diffusers, the additional section of the diffuser is not there on years after 2008. Furthermore, the 2010 and above models have a bigger side skirt than the 2008 models. Other than that,
there's a bit of performance, right?
Yeah,
a little bit more.
But when we start getting into the final editions in 2015, Mitsubishi started to chase a little bit of marketing and wanted to promote the Evo as a real 300 horsepower because prior to that, these cars I think were advertised at like 291 or 292
yeah,
or something like that. And now they boosted it up to like 303.
And the FE is the one in the States had the base model seats.
Yeah.
Canadian separate cars.
How do you defer a real Evo from a fake Evo?
Gas cap, wide, diffuser, wheels, suspension. I mean, just physically.
If you're looking at an Evo and you want to know if it's a real Evo or like a souped up or modded Ralliart or base model, the tried and true thing that you could look for is a square gas cap. Base model Lancers and Ralliarts have circular gas caps. Evos have rectangular or square shaped gas caps that follow the wide body line of the car. So look out for that if you don't want to bamboozle yourself. All right, next question. On the topic of Ralliarts, what are the differences between a Ralliart and an Evo? Well, starting off, you have the suspension that is completely different. You have sway bars that are completely different. Obviously, you have every single body panel on the car, which is different.
You have the turbo.
You have the turbo. Yeah, aesthetically wise, you on top of that have the wing. You have the roof, which is aluminum in the GSR Evos. Diffuser. You also have the big diffusers in the back. You have the different alloy or BBS wheels. You can get them cast or forged. Moving on to the engine side, you have obviously a TD05H compared to a TD04 in the Ralliart, which is boosting the power up from 237 to 300. You have the biggest thing, which is probably the AYC system. So in the Ralliart, you can send the power from front to back, and then the Evo, you can send it side to side on top of front and back.
They have an ACD.
They have ACD. And if you're more track-oriented, if you're a track-oriented person, in the Evo you get 4 piston calipers in the front from Brembo, and you get 2 pistons in the back. The Ralliart does have 2 pistons in the front, but...
Are Brembo stock on Evos?
Brembos are stock on Evos. They come stock on every Evo. You don't have to worry about it an optional thing or... Oh, this is a good one. What are the differences between the 4G63 found in the Evo 9 and preceding models compared to the Evo 10. Firstly, the difference between the 4G63 and the 4B11T is the block. Well, the block in the 4G63 is a closed deck cast iron block. The block in these cars is aluminum and semi-closed. I'll throw a picture of that on the screen. The 4G63 has balance shafts and this engine doesn't. And if you want more technical specifications between the two engines, the 4G63 bore and stroke is 85-88, and in this car it's 86 square. So this engine should technically be a little bit more rev happy than a 4G63, and that's something that we do notice when we look at a power and torque curve. This engine does actually have a greater, in general, area underneath the curve, which does equate to this engine putting out more power overall.
Is the Evo 10 the best Evo?
That is a subjective.
What would you answer?
That's a subjective question. That's
No, to you. Out of Evo 1
to me
10.
personally, I would say it's the best one because it
Out of all 10 Evos, the Evo 10 is the best.
well, it has most technologically advanced features.
But what do you say to people that say it's not a real Evo? Because an Evo is supposed to be small, nimble,
and have a 4G63.
Yeah, and have the
Yeah.
4G. What would you say to those people?
Well, this car is heavier than a 4G inside of an Evo 9 or before, but it does have the AYC system that allows it to manage its weight and push it where it needs to go. So it doesn't just like lag behind on the track.
So you say the Evo 10 is the best Evo?
I would say, like, driving experience wise, it is a very solid machine.
Superior than the STI.
Superior than the STI.
That's right.
I don't think that's a conversation that we should be having
God,
on this
no.
video. Next question. Do the Evos come automatic or manual? And the answer to that is both. Which one should you choose? If you are a manual driver, obviously get the manual. And if you are an automatic driver,
Don't get it.
learn manual and get the manual one.
Yeah.
And we are not just stuck up manual drivers saying that. The automatic is bad.
It's the same as the Ralliarts too.
It's the same as the Ralliart's automatic, and it has a tendency of exploding and
really
breaking.
bad.
It's
Very, very bad.
It's terrible. Realistically, why are we saying that though? Every 100,000 kilometers, 60,000 miles, if you're driving the car aggressively, tracking it, you are going to have a lot of clutch wear. You're going to have a lot of pump failures, of transmission control unit. A lot of times the valves in there go bad or get stuck. And that's just not a fun time. So stay away from that.
We have experience with Rally, like with the SST.
We have experience, yes. We have
Me.
We have another friend that bought a Rally with an Evo with a broken transmission, got it repaired 3 times, and every single time it broke.
And the best place in Canada to repair SSTs.
That was the best place in Canada to repair SSTs. That's the unfortunate
You want to
part.
call them?
No.
But other than that, other than the transmission, is there a difference between the automatic Evo and the manual Evo? Other than the
Well, aesthetically and performance-wise, the automatic Evo was something more pushed by Mitsubishi. So one of the reasons for that is that it did come with an optional sunroof, but with a steel roof, not an aluminum roof. So that did add a little bit of weight to the car. Furthermore, it did come with the OEM forged BBS wheels. They much more often than the GSR came with the projectors on the headlights. And
they were nicer too. They were like the optioned out.
It was optioned. You had the option of getting leather seats, which in our opinions are not as comfortable as the suede seats.
And was one faster?
Well, it depends, because although the SST should be faster than the manual, if you launch the manual hard enough, you will gain a lot of mile per hour over the SST because you can wring the gears out a lot longer, and you can actually finish the quarter mile redlining 4th gear, or if you're fast enough, finish it in 5th gear. If you increase your rev limiter just a little bit to 8,000 RPM.
You raced a stock
yeah,
MR.
Oftentimes if you race an MR, if you don't launch it, you will lose off the bat, but then reel them back in, and if it's a stock MR, then if you launch it hard enough, there's no reason why you shouldn't win. Second last question, do you track the Evo?
No, I don't track my Evo. My Evo's stock.
So I track the Evo. It is a joy of mine, and it is very fun on the track. You can just fling this thing into turns, and even though my AYC system in this car is not working, it gives you such a false sense of security for being able to do things that you did not think were possible. And it feels like you're on rails in this car, and when you're flying around the track, there's nothing more fun than trail braking and then flooring it out of the turn. To me anyways, there's not much that beats that.
How long did it take for you to get the Evo and then track it? Did you track it as soon as you got it?
I actually tracked it the same summer. Yeah, I
So
bought
you
it
didn't
in.
get any getting used to or anything.
Well, I bought it in July, and I actually started going to tracking events in probably late August.
And you sent it?
Oh yeah.
Really?
We were. It was on cheap China tires, and actually, out of a hairpin turn, I was power sliding second gear, out of a hairpin turn.
Did you lose control?
No, my boost coupler exploded off.
What the fuck?
And,
You're boosting into that?
Yeah, I was boosting out of the turn, and I was power sliding out of the turn. All four wheels, I was drifting out of the turn.
That must have felt sick.
It was fun. Yeah, it was very funny. It was very fun. And then the coupler came off, lost all power.
Realistically, what's the reason you got the Evo? I don't know your answer. Originally, when did you go like, I'm gonna save the money, I'm gonna put the time away, and I'm gonna find the right Evo, and I want to buy an Evo?
Well, originally I had the GTS, and I had always like reserved or just savings money, and the Evo at the time was like kind of an unattainable thing until I found like this one, because this one was kind of like a, you can't pass this opportunity up. I found it for sale for a very good price considering everything it had done to it. It had problems with it, but some of them were fixed before I bought it, some of them I had to fix myself. But it was mainly like the right car at the right time, and things were going well financially, and it just made sense to buy it because it's something that I always wanted. It was a car that I always wanted. It was my dream car. I still don't have any plans of replacing it unless there's like an insane once in a lifetime opportunity.
For like an FE?
For like for a final edition, yes.
So you still say Evo?
Yeah, I would still say Evo.
What do you think of the Evo prices? No, from the time you've bought it to now.
Evo prices, I think I would closely compare to the R32, because you look back like 5 years ago, 6-7 years ago, you could get an R32 GTST with very low mileage for like $5,000, $6,000 to $7,000.
5 years ago?
7 years ago maybe.
Really?
And now that same car would be worth like $35,000, $40,000. So this car, as we've already seen, is approaching that level very quickly. These cars have doubled in value in less than 2 years.
Yeah.
They have more than doubled in value.
Overrated, underrated, properly
Which is
rated.
insane. Well, I think this car is probably it meets its expectation.
So
Because
properly-
it's very hyped up.
Yeah, very, very.
Some people hype it up a lot, but then again, every single person I've taken into this car, every single person, I always ask them, whatever expectation you had of the car, did it meet that expectation? And every single one of them has always said it over exceeded my expectation, and it's a really good feeling.
Why do you think it's so hyped up?
I think it's so hyped up because obviously it has incredible body styling. It has a very aggressive stance. It appeals to a lot of people. The Lancer is a very popular model amongst people in their like late teenager years to late 20s, early 30s, and this car is just like the godsend of the Lancer lineup. And not only that, but it has big heritage in WRC, and it has big competition with Subaru. So knowing that this car is like the cooler, better alternative to an STI,
Adds more to it.
unbiasedly, I mean,
it's hard to be not biased.
it's hard to not be biased. And I'm not saying this as a Subaru hater. I love the STI, and I would own one too. If I could have an STI sitting as a third car over there, I would have an STI.
Is it too late to buy an Evo?
I would say it's not too late to buy an Evo, because if we once again look back at the R32 Skyline, the Evo prices have no reason to go down. There's only going to be more people that want them, and there's only going to be less Evos on the road. So
if anyone's watching and they want an Evo, they should buy
if
it.
anybody wants an Evo, like, now's the time.
To buy an Evo.
Yeah,
In the current
the
market.
prices are crazy. I'm not denying that. The prices are absolutely mad. But if you're not buying an Evo right now, sitting there and saying, oh, the prices are too high, I'm going to wait for them to come down. Well, they will probably not come down. And if they come down, they will come down very slightly, but then keep rising.
Do you have any regrets buying your Evo?
Not really.
Yeah, me neither.
Not really.
Not so far.
I mean, it's given me a lot of, obviously there's been ups and downs. I've had the turbo explode. I've had to change control arms. I've had to fix boost leaks. I've had oil leaks. I've had stuff like that. But it's a high mileage Evo, and I knew what I was getting into when I bought the car. So, but overall, like, the amount of enjoyment and satisfaction you get from owning this car, it just supersedes the problems that you would have.
How expensive is it maintaining your Evo? Is it anything similar to a base model Lancer?
Well, currently I change the oil in the Evo every 2,000 kilometers.
That's over.
So I change the oil every 1,200 miles. I change the spark plugs probably twice a year. I also change the T-case oil every year. I want to change the diff oil this year. I did the tranny oil last year. I might do it again this year. I'm not sure. Evo tax is a real thing. Like a starter on a base model could be $200. A starter on an Evo, when I had to replace it, they wanted to ask me like $1,500.
A used one?
A new starter.
What's your favorite thing about it?
I'd say it's the driver experience. Driver engagement, driver feel, driver response, car response, how connected you feel to the road, how connected you feel to the car itself. Especially because the car literally comes with Recaros ready for harnesses. So you put harnesses on there, the gearbox is already feeling amazing once it's up to operating temp. And it's just, you just feel like you're on rails. Alright guys, thank you for watching. I hope we answered some of the commonly asked questions that you have about the Evo. If we didn't, drop them in the comments and I will be sure to reply to them. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.